So when this is all dry, it'll become kind of clear, and then you can kind of rip the edges and put the makeup and blood underneath, and you'll see it looks quite gory when it's all done. Oh, it's stuck on you, okay. So I don't think this, normally you would get a foundation that matches if you were doing that. If you were doing zombie, you'd probably want to do like a pale skin color once it's dried. Like I said, you can mix foundation, your skin color, or whoever you're doing, right into your latex if you want to save a step. It's up to you. That's probably not your color, but just for example. Oh, it's starting to dry. So I'm just gonna tell me I don't want to hurt you. This is the weird thing too, is when you do that, it's going to feel really gross if you ever do it on someone's face. When I did it to that girl, I purposely powdered underneath where the prosthetic was, like I did here, so that it won't stick as well. So these little edges are sticking up. But when you're pulling it, it just feels like you're pulling someone's skin. And it's like kind of disturbing. I kept saying, is that hurting? And that hurting? And she's like, no, it's not even touching me because you put the prosthetic underneath. I'm like, oh, yeah, right.
Huh.
It's just...
Those pictures you have on your website, how long did that take from start to finish?
About an hour, I'd say.
Really?
Yeah.
Not for us, it'd be 5.
Yeah.
Well, I was also I tend to be a little, plus her daughter kept coming in to check on the progress. And
I noticed that her eyes, was she wearing a contact lens as well?
Yeah. So once this is all dry, it'll go clear. I'm just sort of playing up for a minute. So then you can pull off some of the skin. So it sort of hangs a little bit, make it a little creepier. So if you get it the right skin color and put more layers, I just did a quick layer, but I'll just show you kind of what I just gotta grab my makeup. Right there. So I like to do things in layers. If you're on stage, like you said, you won't have to worry really. But if you take the makeup thinner and you take a little bit of makeup, it makes more of a wash. And I usually use a wash because I just find layers look better than just dumping it on there. I'm actually going to use this first, just to get it in the, darken it so that it gives a little bit of depth. I'm just doing a quick, give you guys the idea. So same with the bullet hole. You're thinking, why is she putting black? But this actually technique too, the latex works great for burns. If you wanted to look like someone's skin's peeling, you put a bunch of gelatin underneath, you know, in a burn pattern, and then you do that around and pull it off, and then put a little black around the edges for charcoal, and it can look like the skin's really badly burned.
Yikes.
Yeah. So if you want, I'm putting black in the center, and that's just to give it the depth, because you're going to be putting fake blood and stuff over it, and it won't look like a very deep wound if it doesn't have depth. So a little bit of black in there, a little bit of black in there. Yeah, see, I know I'm not pulling your skin, but it just feels creepy. Yeah. And never use, if you use your brush, don't use your brush on someone else unless you've cleaned it. What's that?
I said, who does that sound like? Me.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, don't use it on someone else because you don't want to, you know, cross-contaminate someone. And well, usually. So see if you, I took out some of the makeup, and I'm going to use a little bit of the thinner to make it more of a wash. So
is there a particular thinner that you use for just a makeup thinner?
Yeah, I get a big thing of makeup thinner usually, and depending on what your product is, because different things, like I have a Pax paint and I have a Skin Illustrator, which is like fabulous but extremely expensive, and it's alcohol activated, so you thin it with alcohol, the isopropyl, but it's very expensive. So I'm just going to add in some of the little red bits, and then I'm going to probably make those kind of yellowy. And once you put fake blood, can hide a multitude of things too. I was telling you guys before when I did that big chest piece and I was so proud of it, and then the director came along and said, director came along and said, isn't there going to be blood? I'm like, yeah, just let me take a few pictures first, because you could barely see what I'd done. It's the more yellow and green and kind of, you know, sick the color turns. So I'm going to be a little bit of blood in there, and then wash it around a little bit.
It's amazing how dark it is.
The blood?
Yeah.
You can get all different colors of blood too. Because the vein blood, lung blood, arterial blood, yeah, everything.
Really?
Oh yeah. Aged blood.
Amazing.
Well, lung blood is actually a lot brighter because it's, so now if you move your hand down a little, it'll kind of ooze a little.
This way?
Yeah, anyway, it's fine. So if that was an accident, if it was a zombie, I'd probably do like, you know, rotting skin around its colors, kind of like the little bits of the darker kind of blues and little bits of greens like it's rotting. Or you could do little bits of reds around like it's bruised. When I'm doing that, I like to use a sponge actually, because then you can sort of stipple the bruising. So I'll do that up here so you can get an idea of what I mean.
Should I move now? Are you
Sure, that's fine. I was just giving you an idea so they know, like normally you can gore that up a lot more, but just to show you how to pull, and then you can pull off more if you want to, or see, it looks kind of creepy. It looks like you're going to hurt them when you're pulling the skin.
That is pretty good. That tissue, that's...
Yeah, it's fun...
That is pretty good.
Yeah, and you can spend a lot of, like the zombie, I spent about an hour. I mean, I could have spent a lot more. I painted little veins on her and got a little carried away, but just make the gelatin. So I'm going to pour a little bit of blood in there.
So this is fresh blood?
Yes.
Should I just let it kind of...
Sure.
That's great.
And the thing is, if this was a wound that happened to you, you just got shot, I'm going to show it like that so everyone can see first.
Yeah.
And then I'll show you what would likely happen. What's that?
Move the cup from it.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So now that blood has just
Just oozing, yeah.
no, but disappeared on his arm there.
Oh, is it? Okay, that means I didn't stipple it enough to seal it on that edge. Well, in that case, what I could do
But that's kind of cool.
is use the gelatin blood because it'll stick right to it, or use the aged blood. The aged blood is, my aged blood, the lid didn't get sealed properly, so your aged blood is much nicer to work with than my aged blood. But that's the aged blood. So you can make it, if it's happened for a while, you can throw some of the aged blood on. It's quite stringy. It's great for putting in a wound. It does sort of get softened up after. It's sticking to me.
Great.
Yeah, isn't that fabulous? So you could, you know, put the aged blood on, or you could put the gel blood.
That looks like it's dried.
Yeah, that's what it's supposed to look like. It's drying. So the point of the aged blood is to make it look like it's drying blood. Another thing is, if this wound had happened, the first thing most people do when a wound happens is put their hand on it. So what happens? You get blood everywhere. So, sorry, I'll wash you off, don't worry.
That's okay. No, this is good.
Must have shown up.
You're very good, though.
Well, we're not doing it on his face. When you do it on your face, usually people are a little more hesitant.
Yeah.
But usually there'd be blood around it, right? Because usually your first thing you're doing is trying to... It's doing that because there's not enough... Stipple, that's right.
But it looks good.
It looks good, though.
Yeah. So if I stippled it a little more, it would not do that as much. But usually that's what happens, and quite often what you can do to simulate it is go like that to it, because then it's going to get the blood. Usually that's what I was saying with the neck piece, that I didn't want them to cover in blood. Realistically, it would be covered in blood. Because the first thing most people do is cover their wound.
Yeah.
And if you've been shot, that's likely what you're supposed to do anyway. So.
Oh my, that's great.
Put a little more blood in just for fun. There we go.
He's gonna tip my... Great.
So yeah, if you were doing a zombie, you wouldn't have to match the skin color as much, because you could, you know, they're pale and rotting. You could do kind of greens or kind of white wash. Yeah. But this works really good for burnt skin too, like I said. And then you
That's an
can,
amazing trick, serious. That is really good.
yeah.
That's my favorite thing so far. I like that. That's a great.
So there you guys go. That's a quick little demo, and I'll talk a little bit more while you guys are doing it. So now partner up and decide what wound you want them to put on. Your wound will go on you. So figure out what wound you want the other person to put on you. And I will clean you up while they're doing that.
Super. I'm just gonna stand up and stop
Sure?
this.
Yeah.
You might have to come help me because
Sure.
I'm still at the beginning stage.
Okay.